Today is Tuesday, August 19th, and the MLB is realigning / expanding. Between the Bases starts right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to an episode of the Between the Bases podcast. My name is Noak. Alongside me today is Ellie Hochberg, coming back from season 2 on the pod. Ellie Hochberg, how you doing?
I mean, as a Mets fan, I could be doing better. It's been a rough stretch here, but just won our first series in roughly a month. So I'm feeling good. But I feel like Yankee fans are kind of in the same boat here, just winning the first back-to-back series since May. So how are you feeling, Noak, as a Yankee fan?
I mean, Yankees are hot right now, not believing anything / not getting my hopes up till they beat Boston this weekend. They sweep Boston / take 3 or 4 from this weekend. The vibes will be through the roof. I'm going to be coming on here on Monday going nuts. But on the flip side, if they lose 3 or 4, it's all fire Boone, fire Cashman. Oh, get rid of Judge. Oh, you can't handle high leverage. So, life of a Yankee fan right there. But
Yeah, as a Mets fan, this has been probably the streakiest season I can remember. We're in the middle of one of our worst stretches of the season, and our only wins are from a 7-game. Not our only wins, but one of our main win streaks. Basically all the wins in that stretch are come from a 7-game win streak where we swept the Giants and the Angels. So it's been a weird season so far. Yeah.
And I don't know if I saw that right, that the Mets are trying to, recreate Grimace with a new flip flop. What's that all about? / taking pictures in the dugout. Just looks corny when they're losing.
The Mets have been taking pictures in the dugout since the OMG sign. They're not trying to recreate Grimace. The Mets is our team of gimmicks. They're a fun team. Listen, I'm not saying that I think it's a problem at times that the fan base and I don't know if the players, I'm not in the player's head, but are looking for gimmicks. Grimace, the Rizzler, really random things. The flip flop. Just things that the fans are looking for. It's not that I don't think anyone thinks anything. It's just the team having fun. And listen, if the team loosens up, I think there's a better chance they play well. We saw that. I mean, we see. I mean, I think there's a level of looseness, right? But I think that's the way. The team's not a tense team. For just going towards Mr. Smile here, right? Soto, when he's playing tense, he does not look the same way. He has to be loose. The beginning of the season, when he was tense, he was opening up. Right, his front leg was opening up. He had like a 770 OPS or something like that. That's where it dropped to at the lowest. I mean, and the team has to loosen up. And I think, listen, is a gimmick the answer? I don't know. I don't think it is because I think performance is the answer. But I don't think it's a big deal.
I think my uncle said this line. He said that if Ben Rice was on the Mets, all Mets fans would bring bowls of rice to Citi Field. Which
he texted that to me yesterday, and yes, it's the Mets think they need gimmicks, and is it due to the funness? That's not a word, maybe, I don't know. During the greatness and the vibes from last year, possibly. Is it also due to just the guys on the team who are good, fun guys? I mean, there's not, besides like Jeff McNeil, there's not so many like tense crash out type of guys. It's really smiles, calm, cool, collected. I think that's what leads to the fans emanate what the players give off. But I really don't think.
I mean, you need that over a course of 162. I mean, every other sport's different. You're not playing every night for 6 months straight. You get days off here and there, but you need, if you're strict and boring the whole 162, you're not gonna have fun and you're not gonna win games. So I mean, you have to have some fun, but you cross a line. Like I think at the Mets, they didn't obviously, but if they would have brought back OMG / Grimace, one of them this year, Mets fans would have been going nuts. Because you can't recreate what happened last year. You got to leave that in 2024. It's like you can't step over that. There's a line that you have to cross, but you can't step over that line. You can have gimmicks, but don't step over the line too far with that gimmick.
Most definitely. I think bringing back Jose Iglesias is a perfect example of that. Mets fans were more casual per se, which I love. Casual baseball fans and Mets fans also, but those of who were more casual were calling for Jose Iglesias to come back because they thought, because that makes right. He was fun. Well, not realizing the backlog of middle infielders the Mets have, and they still have. The Mets had a backlog of middle infielders throughout this entire season. If they brought back Jose Iglesias, it would have been even worse. They have Brett Beatty, who's looking like he's a very plus defender and playing above average offense, hitting the ball pretty well. In the past 2 months, Brett Beatty has an 801 OPS, I believe. I think it's since like June 20th, roughly. Ronnie Mauricio, another middle infielder who plays above average defense. Luis Angel Acuna, maybe probably not on the same tier, probably on the lower tier, but again, plays good defense, fast. Jeff McNeil, and you don't really want to send out any of those guys besides Luis Angel Acuna. So it depends about Iglesias, who by the way is performing horribly this year in San Diego. So good call by David Stearns. David Stearns knows what he's doing. But some Mets fans get caught up in the moment a lot. I think it's the same thing with Yankee fans. I think Mets and Yankee fans are the two most typical fans to overreact. And let me give you a perfect example of this. Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes, there were Mets fans talking about.
I said this, if you listen to this Sunday's episode, I said that at the beginning of the year, Clay Holmes was going to go off, which I said in, I think, April, that he was going to go off, but before the season started. I said he was going to go off. Mets fans were going to overreact, saying, oh, how did the Yankees let this guy go? And then he's going to fall back in the second half. He did that the past 3 years with the Yankees. He had an unreal first half and fell off in the second half. But yeah, go ahead.
Yes, but even more so here in the sense that, meaning Mets fans, of course, were talking about how Clay Holmes, if you told me at the beginning of the year, Clay Holmes is like a 370 ERA right now, that Clay Holmes would pitch 150 innings to a 370 ERA with his, in the past, the most innings he's thrown in a major league season is like 80, I would have told you that's incredible, right? Meaning Clay Holmes has never thrown this volume of innings before. And the Mets fans, were overreacting at the beginning of the year. Clay Holmes is never going to be this ace. I mean, maybe if he can work this out to the rest of the season, but Clay Holmes had a few pretty bad starts, and Mets fans were talking about what a horrible signing it was by Stearns, and how horrendous it was, and Stearns doesn't know what he's doing. He acquired a starter, a 370 ERA starter for $13 million. That is an unheard of bargain on the market, and honestly, last night he rebounded 5 innings, 1 run, a very nice performance. And I think overreaction is what makes being a New York sports fan I'm speaking as a Mets fan. I know it's the same as Yankee fans. You just said it with the Red Sox series. If they lose 3 or 4, it's fire Boone, fire Cashman. Overreactions are overtaking New York sports, and honestly make it a little annoying. It makes it fun to an extent, but I think when you turn on a player for having a few bad starts, it just makes you look like a bunch of idiots, honestly.
Listen, I think coming from a Yankee fan perspective, when you have a team like the Yankees, and a lot of these fans have seen the Yankees, like people that grew up in the 90s, all they saw were the Yankees wins. Like they never saw anyone else win a championship but the Yankees. So like when you have that mindset, and like I was speaking to somebody that's not a Yankee fan, and they were saying, oh yeah, Volpe, he's not having a good year. And I'm like, if he wasn't on the Yankees, like if I would have told the Yankee fan at the beginning of the year, Volpe's going to get you a 2020 season, which he's going to have. He's going to hit a 720 OPS, which I think right now he's like 690-ish, but he's going to get to 720 at the end of the year. So, and he would play solid defense. I know the errors, his arm has been horrible, but his glove has been there. If I would have said, he would go 2020 with a 720 OPS, as a shortstop in batting 8th in the Yankees lineup, people will say, sign me up. But I think since he's not Derek Jeter, and he was promised to be the next Derek Jeter, fans will say, oh, Anthony Volpe is a horrible shortstop. When reality is he's not that bad of a shortstop. He's going to go 2020, as I mentioned before. And then Max Fried right now, he's at 3. In his past couple starts, is 6 ERA. But, fans really started turning on him. Like let's say he got 3 earned runs earlier this year, and people went, oh, Max Fried, come on, you got to trade the guy now. Like the expectation for playing for the Yankees, like Devin Williams, for example, right? At the beginning of the year, he had a 4 ERA, but he wasn't really blowing saves. He was giving up runs, and if it was a 3-run lead, it would turn into a 2-run lead, and fans were going nuts. And because he wasn't Mariano Rivera, and last year Clay Holmes was not Mariano Rivera, but was Clay Holmes a bad pitcher? No, he just blew a save once in a while. He wasn't that bad of a closer. So the Yankee fans seem to, if he's not Mariano Rivera, he's not Derek Jeter, he's not Babe Ruth. Yankee fans turn on Aaron Judge like he's the best right-handed hitter we've ever seen. And people saying, oh, Aaron Judge can't hit here. Like, the guy strikes out in high leverage. He can't hit in high leverage. Like, you're just going to ignore the fact that he has 6 walk-off homers in his career? You're going to ignore the fact that he comes up a clutch almost every time he's up to bat? Or are you just going to say, yeah, he's unclutch? Because every Yankee fan seems to turn, myself included, we seem to turn on him the second he strikes out in high leverage. Like it's not impossible to, you don't fail 7 to 10 times. Like, come on.
Even Cutter is King knows is obviously joking. Like every fan base ever would love to have Aaron Judge. I wouldn't say never criticize him, but not ridiculously say this. But I think you're exaggerating Anthony Volpe's talent a little bit. I hear what you're saying, most definitely. I mean, yes, he had talent, performance a little bit.
would you take from your eighth hitter in the lineup? He's batting eighth. Some nights
Yes,
he's batting
yes,
ninth. Would you
yes.
take a 2020 season with
Yes,
he's
I'm
gonna
just saying.
end up with 85 RBIs? You're gonna take that season from your eight hitter? Obviously, any day
I
of the
mean,
week.
80. I don't think 85 RBIs is purely a product of the lineup. That's, I guess, my new take. It sounds
He's also
hype.
left the most guys on base this year, so we're just gonna leave that part out.
That's what I'm saying. RBIs is purely a product of the lineup. But one, you can't assume he's going to have a 720 OPS because now he's a 690. But I think also, I mean, it's the ups and downs of a season. Baseball is a season like no other in the sense that it's 162 games. So stats will even out like crazy in the sense that Francisco Lindor, who started off the season on a tear, then when Ice Cold dropped his OPS to 730, and now he's on a tear, and his OPS is up to 780, right? Fans are turning on Francisco Lindor in the past 5 weeks because he was in a slump, right? Francisco Lindor is a streaky hitter. Everyone knows that. That's why he starts out the season cold a lot of the time.
I mean,
Right?
how about Mets fans turning on Juan Soto at the beginning of the year because the guy had 7 homers in the first month of the year, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's not living up to $734 million."
I don't think that was mostly Mets fans. I think that was external pressure. I think, but you're right. Mets fans were like, there was a point where they started booing Juan Soto, which I think was disrespectful. And I remember, meaning I was always backing Juan Soto because that it made no sense. Because the only thing wrong about Juan Soto is he looked tense. He looked tense. That was it. Besides for that, he looked completely fine. His expected stats were completely fine. And look, he has an 880 OPS after the quote unquote worst year of his career, starting off with a 770 OPS for the first 2 months of the year. It's ridiculous. And again, I think that's part of the New York sports fan experience. And it is what it is. It's a little frustrating, but it is what it is.
Listen, I think
Okay.
people will look at New York sports fans and say they're stupid sports fans, but there's an element that I think the New York sports fans are the smartest of sports fans. Not the 27 rings, fake Yankee fans out there that are 99% of the Yankees fan base. Not those fake fans. Okay, the real Yankee fans and the real Mets fans. Like Mets fans, Juan Soto could end up hitting 40 homers this year, which he could. He's at 30 right now. And Mets
He's the
fans will
only
say,
player this year, the only player in the league currently with 30 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Fun fact. And
I don't.
Mets and people
Yeah,
will
go
still
on.
find a way to turn on Juan Soto, despite being the only person to do that in the league.
Yeah, but I think Mets and Yankee fans look past the stats. Like, he's going to end up with 40 homers this year, and Mets fans are going to look at each other and say, did he have a good year? Stats-wise, yes. But did he pass the eye test? Did he have any clutch moments? Because I asked Micha Block this question the other day. Can you name how many clutch moments Juan Soto has this year with the Mets? And he gave me one. So you could end up with 40 homers, but if you're not producing and you're not getting clutch hits and, like, your homers are coming in, like, New York sports fans look past that. Like, Aaron Judge I love him. But he's a stat patter. Yankee fans look past the stats in a way. Like, if you're not performing, Yankee fans will tell you that. He doesn't pass the eye test sometimes. There was one time, it was Yankees Red Sox. I went to the game this year, and the Yankees were down 11-5 in the ninth inning. Aaron Judge hit a 2-run homer, and the whole sections go stat patter. Like, that guy's a stat patter. And yes, his homers, he's going to end up at like 50 something homers, but does he pass the eye test? Or Yankee fans going to say 50 something homers? Or are we going to look at each other and say, what did he do in October? What did he do? How did he pass that eye test? So,
listen, I think that's a ridiculous take from a Mets fan. Listen, I understand that it can be frustrating, but it's ridiculous to say, oh, he's a stat pattern, or he's not good, or he's whatever. They should get rid of him. That's a ridiculous take. Listen, Soto has, yes, he's been bad with runners in scoring position this year, and that's honestly, it seems like the only time he's stressing at the plate is during runners in scoring position. I think it's in his head because, again, players are human beings. Listen, they're not. I think they're better at dealing with pressure than most of us, but they're human beings. Soto knows he has like a 170 batting average, whatever, and with runners in scoring position, he tenses up, and I think that's what it is at this point. I mean, he's but listen, I just think that your memory is probably not the greatest factor in determining did the person have a great season or not, because you don't remember that first inning home run where he had a 3-run homer and then the Mets didn't look back and the Mets won that game. I mean, that's a win because of Juan Soto. Okay, maybe when there's 1-run game he strikes out in the ninth inning, but you didn't think about the game he homered in the first inning and then the Mets won 3-0 or whatever. Meaning people will always look at the later innings, which makes sense because that's where games are mostly won and lost. But the early innings are irrelevant at that point. Like, imagine if Judge, after that Judge home run in the Red Sox game, led to a massive rally and they came back. Everyone will be talking about how great Aaron Judge is and how we started the comeback, right? Just because they lost, I mean, flips the entire narrative there, right? Meaning, I'm not saying, oh, like, I get it. A win's a win, a loss a loss. I mean, if you're going to be upset because of a loss, but how is it his fault that he hit a home run in that situation, which could have been the spark plug for a rally that would have been one of the most memorable wins of the season, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I was saying kind of stems off from like what I was saying there, kind of didn't make sense with the Juan Soto, analogy because I was kind of thinking about Aaron Judge when I was saying that because and really to me what I was thinking about when I was saying that like if Aaron Judge doesn't perform in October, Yankee fans don't care how many homers he hit. He could end up breaking Barry Bonds' record this year, although it's unlikely right now with the month and a half yet left. He's Aaron Judge, he could still do that. But Yankee fans wouldn't care if you don't show up in October this year. The main image we're gonna have of you is you striking out in October. You're not performing. So when I like, yes, like you could put up 55 homers, but if you don't perform in October here, like Aaron Judge could go on to break the all-time home run record, right? But if he doesn't win a championship here, all Yankee fans are gonna look back on his career and say one thing, that they're gonna see one image, the image of him dropping the ball in the playoffs last year in the World Series, Game 5. No, we don't care how many homers you hit in the regular season. We don't care how many homers you're hitting. If the Yankees aren't winning games, your homers mean nothing to us. Your stats mean nothing to us.
I mean, yeah, I hear it, and as a Mets fan, just making the playoffs makes me happy. So I don't care if you don't perform in October. If you get us to October, I am as happy as possible with you.
All right, you brought up the Mets making the playoffs. On a scale of 1 to 10, Mets are right now a game and a half above the Reds right now. Well, what's your confidence in the Mets making the playoffs right now? Let's get 1 to 10.
Scale of 1 to 10.
One being I have no confidence in them. 10 being I'm very confident.
Probably around a 6.4. I'll tell you why. The Mets are a streaky team here. The Mets, if you look at throughout their entire season, they're a streaky team. This is known. The players are streaky. That's Francisco Lindor is what makes or break this team, right? He's the captain, basically. Right? He is known to be a streaky player. The team goes around the big three, right? Alonso, Lindor, Soto. Right now, people forget that in these blown leads, the Mets offense looked the best they've looked all season. The Mets have taken leads, I think, I'm pretty sure in all games but 2 in August. I think that's it might not be that high, but I don't have the stat in front of me. I was reading that stat earlier today.
We're like halfway into August, so like that wouldn't be that crazy.
And I mean, like in late innings, it's pretty crazy to have a lead in nearly every game and only win 3 games. You have to remember the Mets are 3 in they're 3-15, I believe.
No, because they were 2-13 coming into that Mariners
2-14.
Series.
So that means they're 4-14, correct? 4-14 in their past 18, right? So if you're 4-14, you're past 18, and you're leading in nearly every game. The Mets have blown, I think, 8 leads, and we're tied in 2 games. I believe that's what it was. Right? The Mets are a team they're hitting the best they've hit all season, and I think all they need is the bullpen to settle in. They need Ryan Helsley to settle in. They need Reed Garrett to settle in. I think Nolan McLean was truly a spark plug because the problem was that the bullpen and the starters were not giving us length. The starters were not giving us length, and then the bullpen was overworked. The bullpen was stressed, right? And they started they're giving up runs because they're all overworked. Not necessarily. Ryan Helsley wasn't overworked. He just looked kind of poorly in 3 straight appearances. But I think Nolan McLean and having more, I think once the September 1st comes around, I think the Mets will call up either Sproat or Tong, maybe. No, it's probably going to be Sproat. Sproat had a .36 ERA in the month of July, meaning he's really settled in. He lowered his AAA ERA from 6 to 4, roughly a span of a month. And I think truly the Mets, Clay Holmes looks like he has his stuff back. I think if the Mets pitching can settle in, which they've done in the past few games, I think the Mets can honestly win the division. Do I think it's likely? No, but they have a shot.
Especially with Wheeler now, who could be out for the year.
Yes, Wheeler possibly out for the year, and the Mets have 7 games against the Phillies, and they're only 5 games back. Do I think it's likely? No. Again, I said 6.4 for making the playoffs because we know this Mets team. They're in a bad streak right now. They only won 2 straight games. They could fall apart in a second, and the Reds will overtake them and never look back. That's why I think there's a decent shot that happens. But I think overall, I'm pretty confident considering looking at this lineup, seeing Soto, Alonso, and Lindor scorching hot, and they are the leaders of this team. Seeing Brett Beatty playing incredibly. The one thing I am worried about is Francisco Alvarez had really picked it up. He had 1,000 OPS since being called back up from the minors, and he destroyed his thumb yesterday, which I believe is the 2nd thumb injury in the past year, which is not good. I think we're still waiting back on a report to see what he had an MRI today. I did not see the report for it, but I think the Mets actually do have a pretty good shot at making the playoffs. and they just need to settle in. The next 13 games they're playing the Nationals, the Braves, the Phillies, the Marlins in that order. If the Mets can take 9 of those games or 8 of those games, they are looking in a very, very good position. And they're right, 3 of those teams are bad teams objectively. And the Phillies, that's very important for the division. So we'll see, but I think I'm feeling more confident in the Mets than probably an outsider would be.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Mets are gonna make the playoffs because it's not that the Mets. I don't see the Mets schedule as easy, quote unquote, but
Oh no, most definitely not.
The Reds have the 4th hardest schedule left in the MLB. So I think it would take a miracle for the Reds just to get past. They play the Brewers like 7 times. Like it's like nuts. And I'm gonna say the Reds don't make the playoffs and the Mets make the playoffs. So I'd give it the Mets. Let's go 2 more topics before we close it out. So that was our Mets topic and our New York fans topic. But let's talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. Obviously, they're on a generational type run over the past, probably one of the best runs we've seen in the past 5 years. Earlier in the year, people were saying, oh, the Yankees beat up on the Brewers. Oh, they scored 35 runs in 3 games against the Brewers. Oh, that doesn't count. The Brewers are a fake team. And now, everyone can laugh at that. But the Brewers, they're using quote unquote devil magic. They're winning games. Their balls are finding holes. The defense somehow makes the other team's defense makes magical errors. I don't know how that's working. But in the spirit of Bob Uecker right now, what are your thoughts on the Brewers? It's unreal what they're doing.
Okay, so I think if we're talking about the Brewers, there's only 2 places to start. One is their player development. Their player development has been known to be one of the best, and I'm proud to say as a Mets fan that we have David Stearns now, so I'm kind of proud of that. I tie everything back to the Mets. But both on the pitching side and on the hitting side. On the pitching side, we'll start off with, because that's the more famous part. They are turning absolute nobodies, or maybe not nobodies, so people who have been overlooked. For example, Jose Quintana was not signed for the longest time this offseason. He basically did not get a deal this year. He has come out. He doesn't strike out anybody, Quintana. This season, he has 73 strikeouts and 105 innings. That is unheard of. That's like a 7 strikeout per 9. I don't have the K per 9s in front of me. Quintana has a 3.3 ERA and 19 starts. That is what the Brewers do. I don't know exactly how Quintana did it, but I am sure they developed a new pitch or they did something to Quintana to make him do that.
He used the devil magic.
It's not devil magic. It's Freddie Peralta having the best season of his career. I mean, Freddie Peralta was always a Brewer. Having a 2.78 ERA, he got the win today. 154 strikeouts. These are just ridiculous numbers for Freddie Peralta, albeit. Right, he used to be the 3 behind Woodruff and Burns, and now he's turning into a superstar of his own. Quinn Priester, a guy, former top prospect for the Pirates, I believe, overlooked, did very poorly. Suddenly has a 3.48 ERA in 23 appearances this year. Again, they're just turning stars out of nowhere. And really where I'd like to end things off is on the pitching side is the bullpen. On the bullpen, they just literally have stars from everywhere, from every corner. This is their bullpen. Abner Uribe, 59 appearances, 1.82 ERA. Garrett Anderson, who actually blew the game yesterday for the first loss in 15 games, has a 2.97 ERA. Trevor McGill, the closer, 2.09 ERA. Jared Koenig, 3.18. Aaron Ashby, 2.03. Nick Mears, 3.06. You could go on and on and on. DL Hall, 3.35. We continue going on, and you get the point. I'll say one more. Rob Zastrazinski, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. 15 appearances, 2 ERA. These are just 10 relievers I just named, who probably every single one of them would be. I mean, obviously, ERAs are probably better than every reliever on the Mets or Yankees. I don't actually know if that's true, but the point is that they develop pitchers like it's nothing. And that I think is number one. Even in the game they lost yesterday, Jose Quintana gave 6 1/3 with 1 run. That has been their strong suit.
And they came back in that game too. They were down late and they came back.
Exactly. And then on the offensive side, it's just a bunch of really, really solid players. There's not much else to say. Like, it's just a bunch of slightly above average players, and that's what the team is. We have Christian Yelich, who's the star with an 806 OPS, right? He's obviously a well above average player. And by the way, this team runs the bases absurdly well, right? That's one of this team's strengths, and they play into that. They run the bases well. Their entire team is probably slightly above average hitters-wise, meaning there's no absolute weaknesses on the team necessarily, and the pitching is incredible. And listen, that's good fundamentals. And the team went on a hot streak due to those 3 reasons. And look, I think they're going to not fall back to earth. They're above average team, but I think they're going to come back to earth, right? I don't think this could last forever. But again, a lot of guys are hot right now. The 2 guys I'd like to focus on who are hot are Isaac Collins and Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn, 32 games in Milwaukee, has a 989 OPS.
It's 33 now after today.
Oh, 33 now. Sorry. He has 9 home runs, like a 990 OPS. These are ridiculous numbers for Andrew Vaughn, albeit, right?
And they're 30-3 in those games.
Exactly. Isaac Collins. Have you heard of Isaac Collins before the season?
No.
Exactly. Isaac Collins is currently batting 287 with 383 OBP, 447 slugging, 830 OPS, 13 steals, 8 homers, right? Just ridiculous numbers for Isaac Collins. And I think that's the second best OPS on this team. But I think it's the best OPS on the team with over 100 games played. This is how the Brewers do it. They pull players out of nowhere, and they play good defense also. Yelich, Churio, Contreras, Turang, Hoskins, Frelick, Vaughn, Collins. That's 8 guys I just named, who all of them have an above 750 OPS. These are just above average players who just all got hot at the same time, play good defense, run the bases well, and pitch well. There's not much more else to say. And Devil Magic, listen, I don't know. I don't buy it. Obviously, it's obviously a joke, but you have to respect a well-built team that plays defense well, runs the bases well, hits with decent power, and yeah.
All right, here's my thought on the Brewers. I call them the anti-Yankees because they do everything the Yankees don't do. The Yankees don't run the bases well. They don't play good defense, and they don't certainly, put the ball in play like the Brewers do, and the Brewers do all that. But the problem I have with the Brewers is the same problem I have with the Blue Jays, and that is that they don't hit the home run ball. And people forget the Brewers are in the playoffs every single year. They're in the rare company as the Yankees. They're in the rare company as the Dodgers. Where people say, oh, like if I were to name 2 teams where it's World Series or bust, it's the Yankees and the Dodgers. No one ever puts the Brewers in that category, but the Brewers are probably up there too, where it's World Series or bust. They're always in the playoffs. No matter how bad they are, they're always somehow make it to the dance. But unlike the Yankees and the Dodgers, I know the Yankees haven't won the World Series in a while, but they win playoff rounds and they go far. The Brewers are like the Guardians. They lose every single time, and that's because they don't hit the long ball. In this day and age, if you want to win a playoff series, you got to out-homer the other team. And right now, if the season ended today, there's still a month and a half left to play. Yes, I know that they would be playing right now the winner of the Cubs and the Padres series. And if you ask me, who would you take in a Cubs Brewers series or a Padres Brewers series, I'm going to take the Cubs and the Padres because they're going to out-homer the Brewers. The Brewers, you look down their lineup, and I don't see a single guy. Maybe Christian Yelich and Rhys Hoskins. But I don't see a single guy, on any pitch where he's the threat to hit a homer. Where on the Padres, they got Tatis, they got Machado. Bogarts has been slumping, but he's, hit the long ball when it's mattered. Jackson Merrill. The Cubs have Kyle Tucker. He's also been struggling lately, but they booed him today again. But he's going to be out there, hitting homers pretty soon. PCA, Seiya Suzuki. When it comes down to it, the Cubs and the Padres and any other NL team is going to out-homer the Brewers. So I would be shocked if the Brewers got past the first round because in a playoff series, not just that they hit the homer, to put runners on and move the runner over and to have those long innings with the rallies, it's really hard to do consistently because you're playing the other team's top pitcher and the other team's top pitcher is locked in. You're not playing, the first guy out of the bullpen. You're not playing, the random 5 scrub starter. You're playing the ace. You're playing the Shota Imanagas of the world. You're playing the Dylan Ceases of the world. You're playing the Michael Kings of the world. You're playing the Kodai Sengas of the world. You're playing the Yamamotos of the world. You're not playing. I don't want to call anyone out here, but you're not playing the scrubs. You got to be able to move the runners over consistently and get rallies going without hitting the long ball consistently against their top starters. And that's also my problem with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays don't do that. The Blue Jays have Vladdy too, and they have Bichette who can hit the homer. So I trust the Blue Jays more in a playoff series. But when push comes to shove, I do not trust the Brewers in a playoff series right now.
That's true. They do not hit home runs. And if I said they hit home runs, that was a clear overlook by me. But I think, listen, I think they have more threats in the lineup than you were giving them account for. I think they have a big 3, and I think that big 3 is scary.
Listen, can Hoskins and Yelich hit a homer anytime? Yes, but Hoskins hasn't been healthy all year, and Yelich hasn't been the same guy since 2018.
True, but also Yelich has an 806 OPS and has 25 home runs, meaning like, okay, like he maybe not the same person in 2018 who was an MVP candidate, but he's still a well above average player who was a threat at any moment to hit a home run. And I think the same thing is with William Contreras. William Contreras is not having the same year he had in past years. But I think we saw it yesterday in his home run. I think he still is a threat to hit a home run. You can't just discount him. He hit 20 home runs multiple times in his career. People forget that he had 20 home runs in, I believe, in 2022 year when he was. Let me check this actually. Yeah, he had 20 home runs when playing 97 games in Atlanta, meaning he is a home run threat. Maybe has that cooled off slightly, sure, but he still is that threat. And I think the same thing is true with Jackson Chourio. Jackson Chourio had 17 home runs this year, second most on the team, playing less games than nearly everyone on the team. I think yes, maybe they're not hitting the most homers out there, and I think that's true. That is a significant threat. But I think it's a significant problem. But I think saying you'd be shocked to see them advance because they don't hit the long ball is ridiculous. Because one, they won 30 of the past 33 games. You think they face no good players? I think that's ridiculous. And two, they do have. I think they have more of a home run prowess than you give them credit for.
All right, moving off the Brewers. Last topic of the day. It's kind of been a long episode so far. But last night, I don't know if you guys were watching MLB Little League World Series game, which is one of my favorite moments of the year. Seeing the MLB players with Little Leaguers. This year they actually hit homers. Last year the Yankees and Tigers did not hit homers. So I was really waiting for someone on the Mets to hit a homer. Juan Soto, so I could say, oh look, it's a Little League homer. Lindor almost got one yesterday. Vientos got one, but who cares about Mark Vientos? But yesterday, Rob Manfred said on the broadcast that in the coming years, the MLB is going to be expanding /
realigning.
Realigning, yes, there you go. What are your thoughts on that? / are you happy about that?
Expanding and realigning are two completely different things, and I think they both depend on how they're done. I think I'm not a big fan of expansion, but I understand why Rob Manfred wants it, why the game of baseball wants it. And I think for cities that are lacking a baseball team, I think it's a good thing. I think teams might be coming to maybe Vancouver, maybe Nashville. I don't really have
I saw Nashville and Charlotte if they're not there, but I don't know why you go to Charlotte over
I don't know why Nashville and Charlotte. Nashville and Charlotte are pretty close to each other. I would give it to Nashville, and I don't even know. I guess Vancouver. Maybe we could put
New Orleans.
New Orleans, I guess. I mean, I assume they'd want to
Oakland. Oakland needs a baseball team.
Oakland. I think the MLB will hesitate from doing that. I think they would have done Las Vegas enough for the A's going there. My problem with the realignment is the following: all of the big market teams and the small market teams will be in the same division as each other. So let me clarify: the big market teams will be in the same division as each other, and the small market teams will be in the same division as each other. Meaning, it's going to be, for example, let me give you an example. If they do Jim Bowden published an article suggesting that there should be 8 divisions. One division proposed would be Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, and Phillies. 4 of the top 6 payrolls in baseball, I believe. That is ridiculous. They're going to cannibalize each other for forever. Imagine how frustrating it is seeing 4 of the best teams in baseball, 4 of the highest payrolls in baseball.
Excuse me, John Henry doesn't care about baseball. He's more of a soccer fan, but yeah.
Just imagine them going at it. It's ridiculous. And in another division, you have the A's, Rockies, and
two other Giants and Mariners.
Yeah, what I mean, the Mariners are just going to beat up everyone, man. That's
the Mariners are going to win. The Mariners want to win 54% of their games. That's gonna be the wildest quote someone's ever said. That they're trying to win 54% of their games.
Who said that?
The Mariners GM said that a couple years ago that they're trying to win 50%. Their goals.
They're 54% right now.
Shout out Jerry Dipoto.
Forgot about Jerry Dipoto. But imagine a division of the White Sox, Pirates, and the Cardinals,
Cubs,
and the Cubs. Like the Cubs are gonna. It's a ridiculous division. 3 garbage teams in the Cubs. And I think that's a ridiculous proposition. I think the only way to possibly fix it, and I don't think this is a perfect fix either, is making bigger divisions, making like how we used to be, making 2 divisions per league, and making it like 8 teams or something like that. But even then, the Phillies, Mets, and Red Sox, and Yankees are going to be in the same division, and probably that's going to be ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous to put those teams against each other. Divisions have to be balanced between small market teams and large market teams, and I think otherwise, the game of baseball is going to cannibalize itself.
Yeah, I think that obviously I'd prefer an AL NL. I like the format we're at right now. But I think two things. One, you're going to have to figure out a way to preserve all these rivalries because the Yankees and Red Sox have to be in the same division. The Giants and Dodgers have to be in the same division. The Cubs and Cardinals have to be in the same division. You can't lose those rivalries. That Yankees Red Sox, you separate them. It's the biggest rivalry in sports. You can't separate them. Also, I think it's fun that the Yankees and Mets are in two different divisions because it gives everyone an excuse to not hate each other. But if the Yankees and Mets were in the same division, then everyone's gonna come out and tell the truth that they all hate each other. It's fun that we're in different divisions because this way we can face off in the World Series. You can't lose the Yankees Mets World Series. Obviously, we know the Mets aren't never making the World Series, but you can't lose that aspect. And then the East West, if people don't want to wake up at 10 o'clock at night, then grow up because there's some Dodger fans on the East Coast that wake up at 10 o'clock every night. So you said that you don't want to do it every night. I think baseball's in a good spot right now. Just add a team to the IL and add a team to the NL and call it a day. Maybe you can switch the divisions around so you'd put the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Tigers in division, and you have an NFL style where you go to 4 teams, where you have 4 divisions instead of 5, instead of 3. But you can't to lose the AL, to lose the NL, and go East and West it's bad for the game, and it's bad for baseball. In the words of John Boy, bad for baseball. You can't separate the Yankees and Red Sox. You can't go East and West. Think about it. You'd lose the Yankees and Astros rivalry now in the playoffs. The Yankees and Astros wouldn't face each other in the playoffs. Which
World Series.
Over the past 7 years, that's been a fun part about baseball. The Yankees and Astros rivalry. You can't just lose that now to go East and West. Keep the AL and keep the NL.
Yeah. I'm just not as concerned about losing rivalries as you mentioned. All those people are geographically right next to each other on the map. I mean, Yankees and Red Sox are geographically right next to each other.
Not Yankees, Astros.
That's true, but I'm saying everything but that. I think I'm not so concerned about, and that's even playoffs. They're not currently in the same division, meaning they can't confirm they can't keep that because I don't think that's as much of a rivalry as right. It's rivalry, of course, but I don't think it's as much of a rivalry as other things are. Meaning,
no, you would lose Giants, Dodgers because the Dodgers would go Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Angels, and there's another team down there, and the A's because the A's would be in Vegas. The Angels, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, and Padres. So you lose the Giants, Dodgers one, and you lose the Cubs, Cardinals one.
Put the Diamondbacks in the same division as the A's. I'm saying not necessarily the A's, Rockies, right? Do the West Coast, but not LA, basically. And Seattle, right? That's the 4 teams in the West Coast, but not LA. You could do something like that. You don't have to put right. Not LA, sorry, not California. Obviously, the Padres and Giants aren't in LA. I don't know what I'm saying. But the point still remains. I think it's that there will be terrible imbalance in the league. I think it's going to lead to loss of rivalries. I think it's going to lead to decreased interest. And I think, and honestly, I'm just thinking Mets, Braves, and Phillies, Braves are some of the best games of the year if you're a fan of the NL East. And probably that will be lost because the Braves might be in the Southeast Division or whatever they call that.
And you already took away 5 games from all the divisions. Instead of playing the Red Sox 19 times, we're playing 14 times now. So to decrease that even more,
that's ridiculous in and of itself. I think that's also ridiculous. I think the MLB should revert. I think playing a division, you get to know your division really well, and I think that makes more of an impact. I think playing 14 games is honestly worse. But I think MLB will expand, and will they realign? I mean, if they expand, they're going to have to realign in a sense because 32 teams. How is that going to work? They're not going to have 2 divisions sticking out with 6 teams. My hope is that they expand properly in a sense that they'll make divisions fair, and I hope they keep AL and NL. They might make it, right? My guess is they're going to make it 4 divisions each. That would be my guess instead of 2 divisions, and how they align it, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that would be good. Let's say the Yankees lose, the AL East loses the Rays, so you just go Orioles, Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays. The AL Central would lose. Who's the furthest south there in the AL Central? Not the White Sox, not the Royals.
The problem with that, the one problem I have with that is it's going to be just like a misfits. That would be like a team of misfits, basically.
No, it wouldn't, because you'd go the Rays. Let's say they go to Nashville, so you'd have the Rays Nashville team in the division. And then I would go with
the Royals. I guess the Royals are more.
I mean, the Angels and Rangers are kind of in their own territory. That I'd go Angels, Rangers, Angels, Rangers, Rays, Nashville, and then the other division would be Twins in the West because
Nashville's nowhere near the Angels. I hope you know that. Nashville,
the Angels. I meant the Astros.
Oh, so
I meant the
confused.
Rangers and Astros, not the
Yeah,
Angels.
that makes a lot more sense.
I don't know.
Um,
Ellie
that makes a
Hochberg.
lot more sense. And same thing in the NL East. Honestly, drop the Braves. I don't know. Drop the
Drop
Cardinals.
the Marlins.
Oh, you drop the Marlins. Maybe add. I don't know. Maybe add the national team there. I don't really know. But I hope it works out well. I'll put it that way. I think it's bad. Not. I think it will be good for expansion. Listen, I think realignment is bad for baseball. Let me put it that way. I think expansion will be good for the monetary value of baseball. I don't think it's good for watching baseball. Besides, for if you're getting a team, if you're a city getting a team, good for you.
All right, Ellie Hochberg, always good talking ball with you. Thank you for coming on. And any
Thank
last
you for
words?
having me on. It's been great.
Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you later. Go Yankees. All right, thank you, Hochberg.